Hello, everyone, and welcome to tonight's webinar. And my name is Phil. You may have spoken to me already. I am one of the customer relations person of Chicago DealVault, and I will be your host tonight as you go on to be able to join this meeting. My task is to introduce our guest speaker. We are very honored to have the King of Southside. He is a top real estate producer, neighborhood builder, Chicago home specialist, and owner of Frank Montrell
Mm.
Homes. So everyone, let's give a hand to Mr. Frank Montrell. Frank, I'm giving the floor to you now.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Phil. Thanks for the cool introduction.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining me on this beautiful evening. We're going to do a little catch up. We're going to make it fairly brief tonight. I'm not going to get too crazy on the time with you guys. So, just to do a quick bird's eye view of what we're looking at, what I look at on a regular basis. I like to keep things simple and focus on the important stuff, major on the majors. So when I'm looking, a lot of people are asking me, "Hey, what's going on right now, Frank? Is the market starting to make a correction? Is it starting to make a move? Some appraisers are coming back lower. Doesn't seem to be as many buyers out there right now. What's going on? Are we going down for the count right now?" And let me just say this much: when COVID came, who was the only person that said the economy is going to thrive and business is going to do great and real estate's going to do great? The kid, you're looking at him. Everyone else said stop buying, pause. A lot of the hard money lenders did that. There's most of them, not all of them. I remember there was a couple guys out there that kept lending, and a couple of local boys kept lending. So, there's people that understood the business. I've been in business for 39 years, and I've seen it all. And I've been through countless micro shifts and six major shifts, and I paid attention to all of them because I'm a student of the game. I'm a student of this craft. I love what I do. Just so you understand what you're dealing with here. People ask me, well, Frank, when are you going to retire? I'm like, when I die. That's like, when am I going to stop playing golf? When my body doesn't move anymore. That's when I'm going to stop playing golf, and that's when I'm going to stop working. Why? Because I love what I do, because I believe I'm here for a reason, and I'm doing the reason that I'm designed to do. So, I encourage everyone to follow your passions, your dreams, and do what you love to do. You will find out that you won't be running around asking people that question, because you'll be so busy doing what you love to do. So we got that out of the way, and here we go, guys. So look, it's really simple, but it's difficult. So there's a lot of moving parts in the real estate world, and there's a lot of different ways to make money. So what I do is I specialize in the flip business and in the BRRRR business. We do a small portion, about 10 to 15% of my business is in the BRRRR section, and the balance of the 85 to 90 is in the flip business. So, we've been doing that for about 39 years, and a little bit over 39 years. And so, what I tell you today is not based on reading an article in Crain's magazine or Harvard Business Review. I'm just giving you the facts based on 39 years of hardcore grind. And let me tell you something out there, baby. There's people out there that don't believe in hard work. And those are people that don't sit at the same table that I do, that don't sit at the top 1% producer. Every top 1% producer I know, we all have one thing in common. We're in love with the business. We're in love with the process. We just love what we're doing, man. I have a hard time stopping what I'm doing because I just love what I'm doing, man. That's the way we roll, baby. So one theme that I'm going to share with you tonight: if you are not a hard worker and you're lazy and you know who you are, that's okay. but partner up with a hardworking guy, and you will go much further in this business. You definitely need to be consistent in this business. I don't want to sugarcoat anything. I don't want to tell you any. I don't want to give you any false illusion that a $1 million check's going to fall out of the sky and hit you in the head, that you just got to do 1 or 2 weeks of hard work and all of a sudden you're going to be set for life. I mean, you look at guys like Mark Cuban, who says he works as if someone his competition is behind him, working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to take his business away from him. Does that sound like someone that's coasting? The correct answer is B, no. He is a grinder. So what do I look at when I'm looking at a market and I see a shift coming? I'm going to look at several reactions to the market. So the reactions that I look at, first of all, are number one is what are buyers perceiving the market? Are they afraid to buy, or are they just the opposite? Do they smell an opportunity? They go in for the kill. And also I look at population numbers. Population numbers are critical, because if a market changes for the good or bad, and you have a strong buyer population, it doesn't affect the market. Is not affected. It rocked as much. So when COVID first came, there was a little hesitation. I understand that, but once everybody saw what was going on, we were still, hey, look, we're still moving real estate. So when you look at the the population numbers, you say to yourself, why are there so many buyers out there? I mean, my top agents are carrying over 20 pre-approved buyers at this time. Why are there so many buyers out there? Because you have to take the average age of a first-time home buyer that's 33 years old. Then you have to rewind 33 years and see what happened. And so what happened is, from 1988 to 1991, there was a population explosion. The economy was doing great. A lot of disposable income. People were having babies. People were feeling good about themselves. And so the population numbers spiked up dramatically. So rewind or fast forward 33 years now, we're benefiting from that growth. And that growth is going to cycle through 2023. And even after 2023, there's still some pretty strong population numbers. So, I'm predicting in the mix right now that these buyers are going to be there. Now, they cycle through the year or two. So they cycle this time. People are saying, it seems like there's a lot less buyers out there. Well, yeah, of course there are. Some of the numbers were inflated because a lot of buyers came out, and they were desperate to buy real estate. So they're cashing out on their 401ks, any cash they had. So we had a tremendous amount of cash buyers in the market. Those cash buyers, that population has gone down dramatically. So now we don't have as many cash buyers that are going to drive up the values. So people say, wow, we're not getting the same values and all this. Yeah, and the reason why it was so dramatic initially was because we had so many cash buyers that were pushing up the values. They weren't using appraisers. They're just like, hey, I'll pay an extra 70 grand for this. I don't care. I want this house. So keep in mind, guys, values are still rising at a rate of about 9 to 10% annually. If we look at the month of May alone, statewide, if we go May 2021 to May 2020, I mean, it's over 20% in the month of May, statewide, and almost 20% in the city of Chicago. What does that mean? What does that really mean anything to me? Not really, other than the fact that it lets me know the pulse of the industry. But really, what I do is I go into the individual areas. So I'm looking at the micro areas. I'll get into that in a second. But I want to cover. So I look at the buyer. I look at the buyer pool. I look at the inventory, the seller side, and I look at affordability. Those are your three components. Your three major, your three big deals for what you need to look at. Everything else kind of fits in somewhere in those three categories. But buyers, right now, don't forget there's going to be a spike. So buyers are resting because kids are going back to school. So we have a lot of pre-approved buyers that are on pause right now, and they're there. They're just not buying right now. And also, don't forget, guess what's coming to a movie theater near you soon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. All those people sitting on their arses that are taking advantage of the system have to go back to work very soon at the end of September. Those guys will be back in. That's going to re-stimulate the economy. Then they're going to be able to buy. They're going to be back. Those people that were planning on buying that decided to check out are now back in, and they'll be very shortly. They'll be back in the market. So you've got your buyer pool that's going to expand. Your buyer pool from employment numbers spiking up. You got your buyer pool that's going to expand back again because once the school thing gets out, then you'll have a rush in late fall all the way usually up through around Thanksgiving and through January 1st. It doesn't mean that there's no business. It just means historically there's less transactions. But again, it all depends on the economy. I've seen some November, Decembers where business doesn't stop. It just keeps going. But historically, over the 39 years, back to school and what do you call it? And the holidays are when you have your slowdowns, and the spring and school when school's out, you have your big explosions. So don't be alarmed because you see that that there's a slowdown and there's a perception, there's talk. Don't worry about what the fancy scholars say. They're looking and they're looking at the big numbers and they're looking at bigger trends. Really, what makes a difference is what's happening in the areas that we're buying, and not so much as the bigger the bigger numbers, the macro numbers. The micro numbers are far more important. As far as the seller, inventory is low right now. Don't forget the courts reopen August 1, and the only people that are protected now from evictions are the ones that are under the COVID rules, and that expires August 31st. I believe that this is the first time I'm saying this because I believe that will pass on August 31st and they won't extend it. I could be wrong, but I'm 80% positive that that's going to happen based on the politicians that I'm talking to now, unless they get some kind of pressure. So that means that we're going to get all these people out, and then these banks can foreclose on the backlog that they have of inventory. So here's the other thing too. Don't think for a second, just because there's 3 years of backlog inventory doesn't mean that it's all going to come on the market at once. They're not going to hire 1,000 more judges. They're going to keep the same amount of judges, and they're going to do the same amount of output. So one thing is for sure, we're going to have steady foreclosure, MLS, auction sites. So you need to be starting to watch those sites because inventory will start coming out, and inventory will be coming out on a steady basis for many years. And forbearance there's a lot of forbearances right now where most of the banks are allowing you to tack your forbearance amount that you owe now, allow you to tack it on the end. However, there's some companies that aren't, so there will be forbearance issues and foreclosures based on forbearance. I don't see it as being a major a major issue. We already have so much inventory in the pipeline right now. It's for the forbearance amounts aren't going to be a significant factor. So you got your buyer pool, you've got your seller, and sellers. A lot of it is inventory. Is pricing is if they can get their price, they'll. And obviously now is the best time for a seller to sell. People say, well, man, yeah, but you don't understand. Prices are, when I buy, prices are high too. Well, yeah, I mean, duh. Also, when it's low, when you sell, when you buy, it's low too. So you just find now's a good time to sell your house because it is a cool off period, and so you would be able to negotiate a better deal. We're not seeing the 20, 30, 40 buyers out there right now for properties. Our properties are moving, but they're not moving as fast. So yes, now is the time to get it done. To buy and sell is a very, very good time right now during this low affordability. You got to look at you've got to look at interest rates. Why are prices going up through the roof? The main contributing factor is interest rates. If you can buy a house at 2.5%, you can buy a $200,000 house at 2.5%, and your principal interest is going to be like $798. At 8%, it's going to be just under $1,500, almost double. At When I got in the market in 1983, interest rates were 14.5%. That same $200,000 that I could get today for $798 is just under $2,500 back then. Imagine your buying power back then, not very good. And imagine what those rates did to the prices. They drove them down. So, I mean, prices are obviously high now. So the question is, Frank, how long is that going to last? And what's going to happen? Will there be a crash? Sorry, got allergies are getting cuckoo today. So let's get into Frank's rules to live by at the moment. Okay, number one is who really sets the values. And so I'm gonna give you an analogy: is who's really in charge, the husband or the wife? Those of us that are married, we know what the real answer is. And so, who's in charge of the values, the bank or the buyer? If a bank comes out and says, hey, this is worth X amount of dollars, and the buyer is only willing to pay 80% of that, and that's the best deal you got, then the buyers are really ultimately the ones that set the price. They're the ones that drove the values up. They're the ones that that has made this market what it is, and they're going to be the ones that help bring these values down. So, rule number one: buyers always understand. Just because a bank says that a property is worth $400,000, it may not be worth $400,000. So the buyer may not pay that because the house may have elements, or there may be elements surrounding the house that will pull those values down. I've talked about that on other conversations, so we'll fast forward through that. Rule number two: bad is good right now. Bad is good. So what do you mean, Frank? Well, what I mean is that the underserved area, certain underserved areas, need this economy, need this time where there's a ton of buyers that will compromise the areas that they will live in, and they're moving. So, areas like Englewood that needs a shot in the arm, that's roaring back. Harvey is not roaring back as much, but it's doing phenomenal compared to what it's been doing during regular times. Areas like that are areas that you can look at as far as investing in the flip and in even the BRRRR method. I mean, as long as you're picking a nice block, a decent block, your investment, your rental investment is secure. Another rule is go, if you're going to use the BRRRR system, is don't be afraid to use government funding, to use Section 8 CAHA funding. My buddies that have Section 8 clients are now they're looked at like kings now. Before, people used to say, "Oh, I'm not using Section 8, screw that." But guess what happened? COVID came, and a lot of people couldn't collect rents. Section 8 people got their rents. Next rule: Bad is good to bad is bad. Some areas still aren't going to change. So just because an area is bad, areas like Ford Heights and Robbins have shown really no sign of change. So those areas need something more drastic than what's happening now. So they're not being affected at all. Another one of Frank's rules to live by. When do I stop buying? When I tell you to. So there's too many moving parts right now. The market's fine, and everything I see, I'm predicting at the end of 2023 there will be a correction, and it will be substantial. And I think it'll be gradual, but it's going to turn into a fairly substantial correction. So if you're buying a house now to live in for a couple of years, you're playing Russian roulette. Now, if you're buying a house to live in and you're going to stay there for 10 years plus, you're going to be okay. You know, you're going to have a good payment and you recover equity. You're not going to lose your shirt. Instead, if you decide just to rent, then you recover no equity. So keep that in mind. Right now is a good time to buy. Right now is a great time to flip. There's still the values are still holding steady and still increasing. They're not increasing as rapidly as possible. Look, there's a ceiling to everything. It's called medium income, and so you go into an area, whatever area it is on the north side, south side, Avalon Park, Portage Park, whatever. They have a median income that will buy in that area. When the values are really, I should say, when the payments supersede, get out of reach of the median income, then there's going to be an adjustment because the properties won't move and they'll sit, and then the values go back down. So that is the biggest. Sorry, that is the biggest determining factor for values. It doesn't matter about what the national averages say. And what matters is what can somebody afford in my neighborhood? Well, what do you think? Buyers don't care about. If I tell a buyer, hey, this is 100 house is $170,000, they're going to look at me like, oh, okay, cool. But if I tell them, look, your payment is going to be $904, and you need to put $2,000 down. Now I got their attention. That's what they understand. Buyers understand payments because that's really what matters. What I always get a kick out of when people say, "Oh my God, the houses in that area have gone up to $250,000." So what I'm thinking in the back of my mind, yeah, but what's the payment? How has that changed from a year ago, from 2 years ago? How has the payment changed? I don't care about the value because the value doesn't take the interest rate into account. So you got to take both of those into account, which translates into payment. That's really what matters. How is that affecting the area? So that's part of Frank's rules to live by. Always be looking hyper locally. If you're going to start buying, and let's say you want to specialize in an area, know the area, get to know, read online, read the stats, read what the median income is, read days on market. There's all types of great information out there that you can track and figure out if your market is changing for the better or for the worse. But if you just blindly read these magazines and the news and look at macro numbers, you're really not going to know what you're doing. You're not going to understand your market. Each area is a market within itself. And so if you want to become an expert, I mean, this is stuff we do all the time. We're always looking at numbers, and we're always helping our investors know whether to buy. There's sometimes we may shift out of an area for a while once it cools down and come back later. But then we're moving to the hot areas. So you need to know what are the hot areas, what are the cold areas, And right now, almost every area is hot except the super bad areas. We're not having problems moving anything as long as the house is functional and it's well cared for. We're not having a problem moving anything. Now, is it taking longer to sell now? In the past month, there's definitely a slowdown, guys. because of the school. Do not freak out and carry the perception that this market is making the correction, because we're far from it. Trust me on that. Okay, so people are asking me, okay, Frank, how do I get inventory, man? You know, dude, like nothing on the MLS or very little on the MLS. Then when I go bid on the MLS, there's over 50 offers in along with mine, right? And that's if there's a good piece on the MLS, it's going to get bid up to infinity. And the auction sites aren't much different. Why? Because there's not enough inventory out there, so you get everybody going after the same property. That obviously, pay attention within the next 6 months, that there's the inventory on those, on the MLS and the auction sites it's going to start growing, and that problem is going to slowly start dissipating. That's good. But what do I do, Frank, until then? Well, probably not going to want to hear this, but it may be a good idea to partner up with someone or hire a realtor. I do get a lot of off-market properties. You're welcome to contact me afterwards, and I'll be happy to put you on my list. What we do is we door knock when we're driving through. So there's no, um, there's no magic secrets. There's no programs that we subscribe to where we can sit on the beach and drink margaritas all day and let some program, make money for us. Instead, we're out there working our butts off. We door knock. We hit the neighbors. If I see a white truck, when I'm driving down a block, I'm gonna pull over and talk to that person. And more than likely, it's a contractor, which also has access to an investor. So there's just a lot of opportunities. You have to keep your eyes and ears open. You have to leave no stone unturned. Facebook pages now. There's plenty of the Chicago real estate investor pages. You can go on those. Those are getting flooded now too. So there's a ton of people driving those numbers up. Tax properties. So the problem with tax properties, if you're buying the cert, which is where the deals are, you got to lay out cash. And you got to, we pay it within the next day. We get the address, we agree to it, we just bring the check in, we get the cert, and we got to take it to deed. That costs an additional $2,500. Tax certs are tax deeds. Usually if the taxpayer lets it go to deed, then he's going to ask for a lot more money. And there's less of a deal there, but there's still usually some pretty good deals. I get a lot of business out of my database too, just keeping in touch with past clients, friends, vendors, man, my doctor, my dentist. You need to be hitting up. I'm giving you ideas of who to hit up and stay in touch with, and let them know, hey, don't forget, we buy houses. We're looking for distressed properties. If you think of anybody, if you hear of anything, please refer them to me. Cook County Land Bank is going to be coming up with a lot of deeded properties very shortly, deeded tax properties. So you want to keep an eye on that website. That would be a good choice for you. Agents, man, when you talk to agents, you have to keep reminding. It's like people aren't going to remember you. People aren't going to remember me. I have to be on point 24/7. I have to be reminding everybody I run into, hey guys, you've got, hey, look, I'm looking for property. If you know of anybody, please let me know. Another thing to look for, if you see an investor with multiple properties. I mean, I've got several investors that are unloading their rentals. So the second the people move out, they're just they're redoing it, putting a nicer kitchen and bathrooms in, and they're just reselling them, and they're selling like hotcakes. So if you're looking for inventory, you go to investors with a lot of inventory. They like to, a lot of them like to play the game too. They like to trade, and they like to sell, and they like to buy and sell. So there's a window for you to get some, and some of these investors are at the end of their cycle where they just want to get out. You can get good deals. Other ones, you got to pay. You have to pay up, but they may be fully rented as well too. So that's another off-market look that you can. And again, of course, lastly, just I mentioned it before, the MLS and auction sites, be on standby because they are coming and they will be back. And I'm gonna say 6 months to a year they're gonna be flying. A year definitely, because they got to go through the courts, they got to go through evictions, and then the sheriff's got to get them, and then we got the winter coming up. So maybe 9 months to a year. But inventory is going to be trickling through now. So you got to pay attention to that side stuff, and sheriff sales as well too. So now sheriff sales are starting to pick up again. So that's another thing. Get downtown, and if you're not familiar with it, get downtown and get in there and be a ear on the wall and see what's going on and learn from there. So that's the last thing I'm gonna say to you is this: is that the people that I've seen that have been very successful in this business, they're extremely organized. They time block. They have systems in place, and they're hard workers. So if you're a hard worker, I encourage you to start getting systems in place and time block daily to do this work. If you do not have the time to do this, you have funds or some value to bring in, feel free to give me a call. I'll be glad to partner up with you. My phone number, by the way, for those of you that desire, is 708-307-0777. 708-307-0777. Always looking to do business with new people. Be glad to have a conversation with you. Are there any questions at this time? This concludes our tour, ladies and gentlemen, but I am open to questions. So anybody have a question? Speaker, forever hold your peace. Or call
I
me
believe
later.
we have a question in chat, Frank.
Yes. What is it?
Okay, it says 3 major components again.
Is your buyer pool, the seller, the inventory, and affordability.
Okay, thank you. We also have one from Raphael. It says, how are you dealing with properties that has more city debt than the property is worth? I find deals on the south side that has a lot of city violations.
Yeah, I mean the only way, realistically the only way you can do that is cut a deal with Cook County Land Bank, and they because once they get it, they get rid of all the of all that stuff, liens, back taxes, all of that stuff goes bye bye with them. So you would have to cut a deal with them because otherwise there's really nothing you could do. The city needs money.
Okay, thank you. Anybody who has questions, feel free to unmute your microphones.
Frank, can you give any
Yeah.
any areas that we should be looking at that are moving or that are hot?
Where are you? Where's your home base located?
I'm in Bartlett,
Oh,
suburbs.
okay. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not authorized to speak up there. But I mean, as far as
I'm in the
um,
city.
okay, as far as most of my stuff is South Side. So I mean, pretty much I mean, Chatham is exploding, Woodlawn, so West Woodlawn has never been really strong, and now that's just picking up like gangbusters. So East Woodlawn, the area that's closer to the lake, is really strong. Um, I mean, you can go. Bridgeport is insane. Bridgeport is. I can't get enough because of the Chinese population. That area is, no matter what the market is, there's always there's always a ton of cash buyers within a week. Because of the Chinese population is pushing south, and then Fuller Park, which is just east of that area there, that's taking off. And the old standbys, Hyde Park, Beverly. Those areas are strong through good and weak markets. So if you're investing in those areas, if you kind of want the bulletproof areas, the higher end areas, Beverly, Hyde Park, those type of areas will, and East Bronzeville by the lake, those areas. I don't want to say they're bulletproof, but they're pretty darn close to being bulletproof in this economy. It's in any economy, so their values don't spike. And then the higher risk areas, like the Englewoods, whereas their values are spiking, you'll see the biggest adjustments in those areas. So when the market does crash or make a big correction as it's coming, the areas that will self-correct dramatically are the unstable areas. So that's another thing that you need to be looking at. Is not so much is what areas are good and what bad. Because right now we're not having problems moving anything in any area except the really poor areas like I mentioned, Robbins and Fort Heights. Everything we're moving stuff in Chicago Heights without any problem. Flossmoor, Olympia Fields. When you get into the school districts down there, you get into Frankfurt and certain parts of Mokina stuff that have the Lincoln Way school systems, New Lenox. When you get out further south in those areas, then schools play a big deal for values and for stability. But does that help at all, or?
Yes, thank you
Okay.
very much. Very good.
Otherwise, we can chat more in detail later. But
Okay.
yeah, so those are some of the things that you want to look at when you're buying. Not only look to buy, is the area hot or not, but how stable is the area?
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Anyone else? Everybody have it all figured out?
Hi, Frank.
Yes.
Hi, this is Jessica. Real
Hi.
question regards to tax, the hike that just happened with Cook County, and especially in the Pilsen area. How is that working? What do you see that the kind of movement with small landlords? Are they selling because of the spike in high taxes?
Well, I don't. There's no ripple effect yet, so I don't think it's significant enough to. Are you talking about commercial or residential? The commercial, it's going to be a devastating. Yeah, I don't see it as being. Everybody knew it was coming, and so I know some people that have sold because they knew it was coming, and they're like sick and tired of of the tax raises. I don't. It's going to affect. It's not an easy question for me to answer, but nothing has dramatically changed right now. And some people will move out because of, the bigger problem is the inflation, is everything is going up. You know, groceries, gas, everything is more expensive. So it depends on. I think it just kind of depends on inflation, but I don't see. I haven't seen a big shift yet, and I haven't heard a perception. I haven't seen any articles in Chicago's Cranes or any other big magazines that are implicating that this is going to be a devastating effect. So I just think that people are going to have less disposable income, and when you have a let's say you have a $3,000 tax bill, and they don't talk about dollar amounts; they talk about percentages. So if your taxes go up 10%, that's $300. So is that really going to affect the market? I don't think so. But I think that enough people are afraid of the problems that we have with our government, and the pensions, that they're making and that's part of why people are leaving, is that I think that they're more afraid of things to come. But I don't think that the change now is. I mean, even if your taxes are $10,000 and it shifts 10%, that's $1,000. See, the way articles are written are, oh my God, your taxes are going up 10%, 10.9%. That sounds like a lot, but 10% of what? Look, it's kind of like, oh my God, this house was $200,000 a year ago, with 4% interest rate. Now it's $250,000 with 2.5% interest rate. What's the payment? The bottom line is, what's the payment? So there's the perception that we're getting hit with a $5,000 tax bill increase, when that's not happening. So do I think it's going to radically change? Not right now, but perception is definitely getting a lot of people out of the neighborhood. So I hope that helps.
Thank you.
Thanks. Anything else? Anyone else?
Yeah, we have a
Yes,
question from, yeah, go ahead, Gail.
yes. My question has to do with, you indicate put systems in place. Is there anything specifically you're talking about? And are you talking about using technology, or
Well,
do you mean something else?
well, all right. So let me ask you this. So what specifically do you want to chase? Are you talking about chasing wholesale properties,
Um,
or you
just
talk,
just
so
property. I'm sorry, properties in general.
okay.
Um,
So
so it
all
could
right.
be
So all right.
wholesale or off-market properties or absentee
Yeah.
owners.
Okay, so what I first and foremost is, everybody has a cell phone, so you write your schedule. What There's a rule of thumb we always say in the industry: what doesn't get scheduled doesn't get done. So first and foremost is you create a schedule, and it has to be consistent. And within that schedule, you have X amount of time for lead generation, X amount of time for lead follow up. That is a must, and it has to be done consistently. So it doesn't happen over a week. It doesn't happen over a month. It happens over a long period of time. Is when you get really good and when you get your name out there, and you want to be branding yourself as you go too. So whatever your lead generation is, you have to determine what that is. It may be you may be good at phones. You may be good at door knocking. You got to find out what you're really good at, or you may be good at a mixture. So, and then you have to have an annual plan. So I'm going to work. Let's just say, I arbitrarily say, I want to work. I want to be the king of the corridor where the Romeoville and a couple other suburbs out there, Bolingbrook, and everybody's going to know me. That's my spot. If I get, so you got to have a plan. So in place, you got your purpose in place, and then you have your plan. But you got to schedule, and then and if you need technology, there's all kinds of CRMs and dialers out there that you can get um, to help you speed and systemize your programs. so that you may have to buy a list of you mentioned absentee, so you can buy things. You can go on. I mean, you should be, the first thing you should do, and I'm sure Phil would back me up on this, is subscribe to Chicago Deal Vault. I mean, they have, they have so much of it that it's like a site on steroids. You can get, not only can you get free foreclosures, you can get free foreclosures based on equity. You can get cash buyers. You can approach cash buyers. I mean, it's insane, man. I mean, there's so many different things that you can use. I mean, I would recommend, figuring out what your goals are for the year, what you want to do, and then set your schedule up. Get a CRM, subscribe to DealVault, and I don't come here just for my good looks and my charm. I mean, I like, and I'm a member of DealVault, and I pay the monthly fee, and I believe in DealVault because of the information. The information is invaluable, and they have a skip tracing and everything in there. And if you don't like the skip tracing, I mean, there's other, there's other True People Search. There's a ton of skip searching out there, and realtors have forewarned too. That's incredibly accurate. That's the most, you can pay for skip tracing as well too. And there's plenty of other programs out there that are expensive that are really good. But if you partner up with a realtor has forewarn, and they can search for people's numbers, and that's incredibly accurate. So I hope, does that explain a little bit more in detail what I mean?
Yes,
Does that
it
help?
does. Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
And my pleasure. And if you guys have a question, you can always text me. I may not always be able to pick up the phone because I may be 2,000 feet up in the air with my Superman cape on, saving the world, baby. But in all seriousness, yeah, you feel free to reach out anytime. Texting is always the best way, and please, by all means, be friendly. I love when I get people, they call, they text me and they go, I need, I don't even know who it is, and it's not like, hey, how you doing, how's your family, no intro, just straight to, like I'm a librarian or something. I need you to tell me what's the best this, what's the best that. I'm like, okay, how about no? What's the old saying in the one book, Honey Attracts the Bees. So be nice. I'm a nice guy. Be nice. But and I enjoy helping people.
Hi,
But I don't
Frank.
like to feel like, hey, go ahead.
What number to text you?
The
Oh,
708, the 307 0777. 708 307 0777. That's my cell phone. I can't always say that I'll pick it up, but I will. I will respond a lot faster through text,
Thank you.
especially if I'm tied up in meetings.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, my pleasure.
all right. Perfect. So everyone, for you who have questions to Frank, as what Frank mentioned, feel free to reach out to him by text or by call. We also provided his email on the chat, so
Cool.
he would be able to respond to you if he has the time. Well, also, Frank, anything that you would like to add before we almost end the presentation?
Just that, two things. If you haven't, I don't hate to sound like a salesman, but definitely check out the DealVault, man. It's a game changer. My team uses it all the time. Number two is, feel free to, if you want to learn more on how to get into investing, feel free to give me a call. I'll be glad to let you know what you need to do and get you started. And again, I'm at 708-307-0777. Stay cool, stay groovy, and I believe that concludes our tour.
All right. Well, thank you, Frank,
Okay.
for
Thanks,
your
guys.
Thank you for your motivation. I'm sure our attendees now have an idea what to do, how to go by with the trends. You're such an effective speaker and motivator, especially with where to get those deals and what to do with them to start with. You have shared tons of information today. So from me and Chicago DealVault as well with the attendees today,
Cool.
we would like to really thank you for being our guest speaker. It's an honor. It's a
Yeah,
pleasure
my
to
pleasure.
have you.
Of
Thank you
course,
so
my
much, Frank.
pleasure. At any time. Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a great
Thank you
evening.
as well. You too. Thank you
Thanks,
everyone
everybody.
for attending. And by the way, if you don't have access to Chicago Deal Vault, let me share to you what Chicago Deal Vault looks like. So in the chat, I actually provided the steps on how to avail the trial access. So this is how Chicago Deal Vault looks like. Here on my screen, you'll be able to see here a bunch of tabs. We provide you bunch of property sources from MLS, off-market properties. We categorize into probate, pre-foreclosure, upcoming auctions, and a lot. So we also have here Frank Montrose information from our list of preferred partners. This is how the information is shown. You have a list of properties such as pre-foreclosure. We list them. Currently, we have 44,262 properties just for pre-foreclosure. This is how the property looks like whenever you open a property. You'd be able to see the number of beds and the rest of the data. You'd be able to also analyze those deals. You'd be able to see the comps and generate the ARV for your properties. So aside from that, I would also like to invite you to join our inner circle group. So we have two inner circle groups, cash flow inner circle and wholesale inner circle. On Sunday at 1 p.m., we have a meeting for the cash flow inner circle and wholesale inner circle that will be hosted by Hugo. That's 1 p.m. If you're interested, please feel free to send us an email to support@chicagodealvault.com so we could send you a link to attend the meeting on Sunday at 1 p.m. and attend the group as well. So in the chat, I also sent the link to check on the DealVault Academy, so you'll be able to familiarize and know what it is. So everyone, thank you so much for attending tonight's presentation and webinar, and enjoy the rest of your evening, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Ray, Ego is coming back, huh?
Yeah, Hugo will be coming back end of end of August. So by September, he'll be around.
Are you sending the replay of this one
Sure,
tomorrow?
yes, we'll be sending the replay
Yes.
to all attendees.
Very good. Yes, I missed the first 10 minutes of it.
All right. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.